We are recording.
Cool. Okay, so I guess that we can just get started already. So yeah, first of all, welcome everyone to this second edition of the new release working group from Solstack. Yeah, today I see some new, well, not faces, but names here. So I'm not sure if we all know each other. So for example, I see here Patrick McLean, who I'm not sure uh, yeah, if he is from the community or he is part of the Solstack core team. So,
I'm from the community. I'm the maintainer of the Gen 2 package of Salt.
all right. Okay, nice to see you here. Welcome. Then we have also Benjamin.
Yeah, hi. I'm also from the community. I'm the maintainer of the Debian Salt package for a long time now, and we are using it Salt in our company, so I'm having the double role here.
Okay, great. Welcome and nice to see you here as well. Then, well, maybe we can, since we have new people, let's just go and do a quick introduction to all of us. I will go first. So yeah, I'm Pablo Suarez. I'm working for SUSE. I'm also Salt maintainer of a Salt package for SUSE, Sleep and OpenSUSE. Yeah, I'm also acting as the captain of this working group. So yeah, any question or everything related to this working group, the meetings, how we handle this. So don't hesitate and just reach me and ask whatever you need. Then we have Sage here on the list. Maybe you can go and quickly introduce yourself, Sage, just in case.
Yes, I'm Sage Robbins. I am the release manager and scrum master and program manager and project manager. I have a lot of titles. And I worked for original Salt Stack and now work for VMware, but I work on the open team exclusively. And so working really closely with this working group as we move forward. And I have a deep passion for release management, if that's actually possible. I think that makes me a true nerd. So, you know, I think I'm among friends.
Thank you. Next I have on the list is Pedro.
Hello, I'm Pedro. I'm also an original SaltStack employee, now VMware, but also devoted to the open source Salt and its projects, software engineer. Yeah, you might have seen me as SoundTech for a lot of repos.
Thank you, Pedro. Next on the list is Alex.
Hi, I'm Alexander Graul. I work for SUSE and I'm in the same team as Pablo, so pretty much the same thing.
Okay, then is Patrick that he already presented. Next is Victor.
Yeah, I'm also SUSE engineer and the same as Alex and Pablo and probably Jochen.
A few chameleons here, it seems. Yeah. Yeah, then we have well, Benjamin and Jochen. Maybe you can again.
What else to say? should I say that I'm an original SUSE employee? Yeah, so I'm also working for SUSE and I'm also an engineer. So coding release, releasing of the packages and stuff like that. Next.
Thank you. And last on the list is Shane Lee. So maybe
yeah, I'm a SaltStack engineer, VMware employee. I'm on the core team, open, and I work on I do the Windows and the Mac builds.
Thank you, Sage. Okay.
But actually, we forgot something because we are not only releasing the packages for SUSE, because we're also releasing the packages for OpenSUSE. So this is entirely on the squad that all of us that are joining from SUSE here are also working on, but doesn't have necessarily to be like that. So yeah, I mean, you all have enough to do, but if someone wants to help with the release of the OpenSUSE packages, I'd just come forward.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are missing a representative or two that is sort of part of our release team. They're all together today doing a knowledge transfer because we do have someone who's leaving on sort of the greater team to go to another team. So they're just busy today. So it's a good thing that we're recording. We'll make sure that they're around. Those guys are Bryce Larson, Derek Ardoff, and Curl. I'm going to say his name probably wrong. He's probably going to be like Sage. He says it beautifully. Pomarev. I'm probably beating that up. That's terrible. Those guys are usually one of them is available in this group as well.
Okay.
And they're all VMware employees, and they're our site reliability engineers. So they do a lot of the packaging and work really closely together. So we usually have a representative from them in this team too.
Cool. All right. So, well, for the people that is joining us for the first time, I'm pasting here, just in case that you're not aware, we have a board for the working group. This is open, so you have access there, or should have access there. Let me try to share my screen so we can also go over it. Okay. Okay. Hopefully you can see it now. Yeah, so this is the release working group board. As an introduction, the idea is to have, well, the idea of this working group is to have a meeting point for the community and the Salt core team to have a place to discuss about release, problems, define the workflow, and yeah, see where we can improve and make the release process transparent and painless and everything, right? So Jochen was so kind to try to contact a lot of Salt maintainers from different distributions. So we have a few of them here already. Let's see, for the next meetings, we also have more people. And the idea is to have some coordination between us. So, we have from time to time CVE issues, there are security releases for Sol and these kind of things. Yeah, so the idea is trying to coordinate this, have some defined places to get announcements, all these kind of things. So back to the board. Yeah, as usual for different projects, we have this board, a bit of information here about the working group itself. There is this place also in the Slack community of SaltStack for the release process channel, where you can also go, we can chat there as well. Yeah, what we have done so far is to define a few kind of big epics, which are basically what we mentioned. We want to basically define and agree on a workflow for the CV releases. We want to make the release process more transparent. And as an actionable cards, we have a few stuff here. The idea is to start identifying the pain points and then continue working on how we can improve those and create proposals for improvement and these kind of things. We have this new card here that Jochen just created that I would like to bring it up during today's discussion. But before going with this, I wanted to also revisit this one. So if you remember, during last meeting, Sage showed us an internal document with the definition, more or less, how the release process is currently looking like for Salt. So the idea is that we will get such a document, maybe in a PDF or some new issue, so we can actually go and start working on that. I'm not sure if we have some progress on this, if we are able to access this document already.
I think I put it in a different epic. I did. I put it in this one. I can attach it in more places.
I
though.
see it. I see it in the Epic.
There you go.
81. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Perfect. Then this is really nice. So we have it on the Epic. So if I go here, just to double check in the make the release process more transparent, we have now. Yeah. Let's see.
So there's some
PDF.
attachments there.
Yeah, exactly. This is the document we saw the other day, more or less, right?
Yes. And this one is a template for a bug fix release. It's not too different from a major release. There's just a few more things like a bootstrap script update. I can get those words out. And making sure that the features are all also in the release that they've been merged in. Not too much else except for a release candidate, which is just a repeat of sort of staging. So it follows this pretty closely. CDE is also very similar to this. Just has we put the tag into a private repo and keep that private until it's announced, and that's it. And do a few more packages because usually we're going backwards like a point release would. At times, we're going a little further back, so looking at that. So I thought this was a good representation of an all-in-one instead of sending you 3 separate documents that are only slightly different.
Yeah, so we should definitely go over here. Yeah, read it carefully. Yeah, and start digging into it. Yeah. Then beside of this is no way.
This is my where I was going with it. So instead of having a checklist that was really hidden, to put it into an issue template that looks like this MD file and reuse it so that it's very obvious and more transparent to the community exactly what we would be doing, and to see that in real time. So as we're checking those tasks off, that we could you could see it in an issue in the repo, see who's also assigned to it. And this needs a little bit of work. It's I haven't had enough time to really dive into it much more than this, but that was the thought. So we can iterate on that as a group.
Great. Yeah. Pain point is currently communication. That was automated song. What I mean, okay. So
this repo, this OSS release repo, Megan wrote this as she was learning Python. And we had this set up to use like I think it's actually to use an RST file that then it can, and when we were doing, branch updates and merge forwards a little more when our branch strategy was a little different, it also helped her with that. But we started using it specifically to use an RST file or an MD file, and then have it converted into all the formats that were needed into whatever communication piece that was going to. So whether that was an RSS feed or a blog post or a Twitter, post or a subreddit or even IRC and Slack and email as well into the mailing list, that you could do it once and it would push it out to all of those. That needs a little bit of work. It's not working right now since we made the transition and we're no longer using G Suite as email. And the code probably needs to be cleaned up a little bit as well, because she wrote it 3 years ago when she was still learning. So it probably needs a little help. And as we're gaining some more of the social media that used to be really more focused on the enterprise product, that's now really for the community, that scope of communication has really broadened. And so I was looking at something that was a source of truth, and thought that we could either use this or fix it, or we could go towards just an RSS feed, which we do have for like security related releases specifically, but we could do just a general if we wanted to for announcements or something else. I'm open to ideas. It's just a thought. We had it and we were using it. It'd be nice to have something. And we do have a Salt Slack engine. It's currently broken, but we're working on fixing it. And so we could also use that as well for announcements that are going into the release or going into the Slack channels.
Cool. Mm-hmm. No, okay, there is material here too.
Yeah,
God.
those are older.
All right. That's really nice.
Yeah, it's higher level. I think that we could, it probably doesn't need to be in the versioned docs. It could probably live somewhere else that doesn't need to be versioned with every Salt release.
Yeah.
Sort of like an install guide or maybe a user guide. And then we could dive into it a little deeper and make that a little more, instead of so high level. I think that we could really dive into that a bit and point to some other things that we're doing. Like this is also how we communicate. This is sort of our communication plan. And those shouldn't be extensive. They shouldn't be any longer than a page. Most of those are probably only half of the page. You know, we're not talking about a lot more information, but I think that we could be a little bit more transparent.
Yeah, definitely. This is actually great. I mean, having this workflow here, public, is really nice. It's true that we should move it to some other way, to some other place to have it not dependent on the version, but this is actually great to have this defined. Yeah. And this GitLab SaltStack Open Docs.
So right now, this is where we started doing some more distributed documentation that's not with the version docs, and this is where they live today. This is likely to change since it's with the rest of stuff that's behind the firewall, even though this is open. The namespace may change a little bit, but this is where we were going with some of those more distributed docs. So I just linked to it as it is today.
Nice. Okay. Move this one here.
Yeah, and if you haven't looked at that user guide that they're working on in that GitLab repo, it is quite nice. Yeah, go look at that user guide. And I think that in the README, there's a link to the actual view the Sphinx built, or the source, whatever you want to look at. And it's quite nice.
This one here probably.
Or maybe the one above, the Sphinx built.
Generated one.
Yeah, and it should give you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a theme that we were playing with. This isn't the exact theme that I think we're going to go with, but at the time that we started this was a theme that we were playing with to really update the way that you can navigate the documentation. And we wanted to use, instead of the Google custom search, to probably use Angolia. And we're looking at that right now. I think if you go to the search that's on the top left, it's still Google custom, but we were looking at some other things there to make that easier to navigate. Because I think right now you kind of have to know where you're going in the docs. This one's a little easier to navigate. So, but it is just a user guide. It's not meant to be all of the Salt docs. But if you love people's take on it, if you want to take a look at it, we've worked pretty hard on that. We did a docs jam and did quite a bit of work to get this in place with the community. So this is really community driven.
Nice. I like all the diagrams that you have here.
Yeah, it's nice to have some pictures.
Cool. That's really great.
Yeah.
Okay, so on this regard, now that we have all this document, I think, we can all start, reading, digesting this information. And I think we have this, we have now information about the release process. So there is this other card, which is identifying pain point. So as soon as we are reading this information and we consider that we, as if there anything that you may want to maybe discuss on the next meeting, maybe we can add comments here on this other card, identify the pain points, and then we can go and discuss those in following meetings, in the coming week meetings. Of course, we can do it asynchronously here, but just in case, anything that you want to also bring to the discussion on next meeting, you can. We will go over this card next meeting, and if you have anything new or you think that this topic deserves its own card, then feel free to put in a card. And we have this inbox column here, so you can put stuff on top, and we will go over those on each one of the meetings. So I'm not sure about the release process. I will give us some time for digesting this, and we will see. And there is also this card that we wanted somehow to mention. Sorry, minimize this thing. This was created by Jochen. Well, basically how to track CVE fixes that are not SALT specific. So I'm not sure. Well, you basically know this CVE is related to the Snapper module of SALT. We got that notification internally, and I think you are not actually releasing a new bug fix release with this CVE, right? I'm not really sure.
We will, So we did find this CVE. What happened with this one is the submitter of the CVE sent it followed our process and sent it to the email to our security@saltstack.com the exact time that we were migrating that over into VMware's servers. And so somehow that got lost. I'm still trying to figure out how that got lost. And so they waited a month and didn't contact us again, and then put out public notification of it and put it into the repo. We had actually already identified it and had fixed it as part of a code sniff, a static code analysis in master. Just general, you should fix some of these things, and we had fixed it there and didn't. From that code sniff, didn't think that it was worthy of a CVE and didn't have a submitter for it because we didn't have that information. So we will go back and do that now that we're aware that that happened. It's simply we weren't aware that they were trying to get a hold of us. We'll go back. Happens.
Okay. So we shouldn't, let's say that this was a special one.
Yes.
So hopefully next ones should, we just got that one as also by surprise, like, what is this?
Right, we're surprised.
But there was the upstream fix already, so it was actually easy to go and cherry pick, no problem. Jochen, do you want to mention something else about this one by any chance?
No, I think that's good.
So for this one, I think we shouldn't do anything specific. So I will move this directly to discuss or done. I'm actually closing this. Let me just add some note.
So in this case, it was a CVE that kind of got lost. But since you guys are doing the security check, like the static analysis on master branch, could there be some notification to like downstream packages that you fixed security issues in master? Because maybe we want to include security fixes in some kind of update before you have your next release.
That's a good point. We could, so when we do you might have to remind me how we do this, Pedro. I think it's in the change log, or if we did a major release, it would be in the release notes as well. That when it identifies the change, we should have those, as part of code sniffing and general, hardening of salts, overall changes that we make. We could have that in the change log or the release notes, or both, as a separate, specific topic.
Right now I'm checking our town crier setup. Yeah, we don't have a section for security issues or security related fixes. So we might have that on the release notes if it's a.
We might.
Yeah, we might, because for example, that the fixes that we did with regards to this particular CVE were just like, okay, we should stop doing this. It's a security issue, but it's like, okay, we've been doing this for so long, and no one reported a major problem with that, but we should just stop doing this. There are better ways. And so it might not get mentioned on the release notes. We can probably add a security section to our town crier setup. And that way, first of all, we will group all security fixes as long as they have the proper changelog entry.
That's fine. And we can also add that to the PR review as we're reviewing it. And then something else that we haven't iterated on our use of Bandit, which is our static code analysis. We need to. And we are also looking at some of the analysis tools that are available to us through VMware. And those do produce some reports that we can share that are just sort of like, oh, here's some things that we're going to fix. And a lot of them will probably put issues into the repo saying, here's some things that we got from a report that we would be fixing. And then we can share it amongst this group. I'm not sure what that looks like today, how to share that. My initial thought would be to use GitHub's integration with Slack to put it there, but that's limited. Not everybody's always on Slack. So I'm open to other ideas there as well. That's where we also could come in to use that communication tool to put it into like an RSS feed that goes to the mailing list as well as Slack, so that we're hitting all of those communication platforms. And I think that's actually a really good idea, because we could label it and then pick it up through a label as well in an RSS feed, or even in a GitHub action or something like that, that would then just be like, hey, as this gets submitted into the repo, this group is notified of that, so that you know that the change is coming and it's in the backlog. And then when it gets worked, you'll see that it gets linked with a PR and gets in with a change log. And I think it would be advantageous even for this group to review those. I think the more reviews that we have on PRs from a broad range of people is better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually really nice. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Regarding the CVE, I had a look at the merge request on the master branch, where it fixes all these uses of I think subprocess.call or whatever. And only this, so I checked all the fixed lines of code, and maybe there were 20 cases, and only this one where the CVE was reported was actually taking insecure input and could be abused, but the other ones were safe, even if they didn't follow the recommended way of using that command. So it's hard if you use a static code analysis and it says, okay, you have 50 things that you need to repair, and only 1 or 2 might be really a security issue.
Right, that could actually be exploited. Yes, and so this one was actually quite broad, and we had fixed several that were similar in a very larger sweeping change across 2 different CVEs in the previous CVE release. So this when we went to go look at exploitability, it's true, we had a hard time finding it. So when it came up retroactively, we were like, well, I guess we missed one out of the hundreds that we did fix. So we actually feel pretty good about that, that we're finding them anyway, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question really quickly. Does this group prefer the mailing list for communication? Is that the best way to communicate sort of securely, I guess?
I'm not sure what others' opinions are, but I like mailing list.
Easy.
Yeah, maybe we should mention which mailing list we are referring to. It's this one. I just posted a link to the chat.
That's right. That is a public Google group, but we monitor it pretty heavily. I think I do need to go through it still and make sure that the people that are in that group are active and want to be on it. There's a few that I think have been on there for some time, and we simply haven't heard from them and just want to make sure that it's still appropriate that they're listed there.
I probably should join that mailing list.
Oh yeah, it's in the Google or it's in the Zoom chat here. It's groups.google.com/g/salt-packagers. You can just search for it as a Google group if you're using Chrome or Chromium.
So my tendency is that mailing list or email is a good way to communicate, but sometimes the mails are too many, so it's can be good, can be bad, but it's the best groundwork to agree on. Other channels are might have benefit, but not in all cases.
Right. This one's a pretty quiet group. There's not a lot of emails that go to this. Release announcements, and then of course anything to do with packaging. So pre-releases or anything like that. It's fairly quiet. Okay. Try not to have it be too noisy.
By the way, I noticed we have some more people that joins in the meantime. I see, oh, yes. Well, of course, Gareth. Hey, hi, Gareth. And I see also David. I'm not sure if David is someone new from the community, maybe?
I do a lot of lurking.
David's actually a VMware employee and was with SaltStack previously. Welcome, David.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, David.
Hi.
All right. Now, just in case that, yeah, because we have invited a few people, so yeah, it might be that someone new joins. We are not aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys are okay. I know them. I can vouch for these two.
Yeah. Gareth is anyway.
Yeah, David Fiddler. I don't know about him. I like him though. He's rough around the edges, but we'll take him. I get to see you. I never get to see you. Hello. You're very bearded. Look at you. It's majestic. Nice.
Okay. I'm not sure. Do you have anything else or anything that you want to bring it up today to the meeting? Maybe we don't have it on the board, but something that you want to announce? Any one of you?
I actually had one other thing that I wanted to, and I attached it to one of the issues. I'm not sure which one, but it's our security MD file, and then a security MD file that that's a template for VMware that definitely lists some really good verbiage about embargo and joining the group and some rules around that I think we should adopt. I may have put it in identifying the pain points. I don't remember. I'll have to go find it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
or you can just create a new one if you don't see. I'm not sure, whatever.
I may have put it in define and agree on a workflow for the CVE process. That's where I put it. Here it is. So it's issue number 126. And I think that our security MD file is actually pretty good, and we describe a good way how to do this. I think there's a few things of adoption that we could take from that template from the open source VMware template that I found, and put it into ours, where we talk about pre-releases and packagers and downstream projects that need to have that information, and then how they join the mailing list, and then sort of the embargo that goes on with that, and we don't have that in our files today. So I think that we could actually take a lot of that verbiage and just insert it. But I'd love for people to review those and just give their opinions. I think that would be great.
Cool, yeah. Let's take a look at this. Okay, I was thinking that we should maybe create a new column, says like something for like actions for next meeting, or actions for like stuff that we really want to actions for the next meeting. So I will create that one as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, this really looks quite good.
Yeah, I like that they also have everything in that one document that talks about, when to report a vulnerability, even the content in the email of reporting the vulnerability and private disclosure, and then what should actually be in the contents of that, and then patch release disclosure, public disclosure, mailing lists, early disclosure. I like that they put all of that in there, membership criteria. And I think that we could do a better job of that, and probably take a lot of this information and just simply insert it and change it to be our contact list and whatever. I don't want to make it too long. I am actually of the thought that if you can say it in fewer words, do. So probably pare it down a little bit. I like things to be a bit more concise. If you can take out every other word, do it. And that's my editing process. So I may come through here and as we start putting things in, I would probably look at it that way. So my educational background is actually in technical writing. Turns out I'm not very good at that, and I'm better at math. Who knew? But I do have a trained eye to edit and to get things a little bit more concise. And so that's something that I think that we've at times not done a good job at. We're verbose. So I'd like to see us get more concise and be explicit.
Sounds good. But even 2 pages is not so long, and
No.
actually the target audience is not that big, so
True.
We are not wasting too much time from everybody with that.
No, not too much. It's true. I don't do this on my Slack messages, though. I'm terrible. I'm very verbose. Free form. But anything that's published, I would want it to be more concise. I feel like I have to say that because I think that especially in if you look at some of the documentation that we do have out there, it is quite verbose, and at times that's needed. And I think that it's warranted. We could cut back. There's a lot we could cut out.
Okay. So, what else?
I think that's all I've got, but I'd love to hear from other people.
Yeah, yeah, of course, if you want to say I mean, to anyone, to everyone, if you want to bring some topic up, just speak. I mean, feel free. Um, I wanted to actually also let the new people or gather collect the feedback from the new people if this time lots works for you more or less for this meeting for having. So we have this meeting once per month. So it's the second Wednesday of each month. Yeah, we have the board as well, so we can work asynchronously. We have the Slack channel as well. So yeah, we don't necessarily need to attend these meetings in order to participate in the work that we are doing. But, you know, it's really nice to have at least once per month a meeting where we see each other and we can talk a little bit. So I wanted to know if this more or less worked for you. Is a time slot where more or less people in the US and people in Europe can have some, yeah, time slots that work. But, you know, if you have some other suggestion, yeah, please let us know. Maybe we can also arrange this a little bit and we will be all happy. So yeah, that's something I wanted to mention. And again, we will keep inviting people. So maybe for the next meeting, we will have even more people. We have 11 people today, so that's really nice. Yeah, I'm not sure. We have still some time in this time slot, but yeah, don't want to retain you here if you don't want to. I mean,
So just to review really quickly, I will go over a few things that I submitted. If other people can read them and give feedback, would be great in those issues. I will also bring next time a more changed or updated security MD file with some edits. Would love review on that. Hopefully I can have that to people and have an example in the like an MD file that's maybe even a PR. People can review it that way and give feedback and add to it. I would love that. And I will also make sure that we have the items in the to-do list or the next action items out to people for next time. Just probably a reminder.
okay.
And go through that mailing list.
So on my side, yeah, we will keep inviting people. I would like to also prepare some outcome from this meeting and also send some emails about it. Quick summary, just in case. And then I would also like to go over the documents that Usage just sent us today and try to gather some feedback, feelings about it. So hopefully next meeting we have some, well, or even before we have something or some feedback, and yeah, we can start working on that.
That's good. Yeah, and I'd also love to hear from people of what you're doing on your other projects. Any automation that you have set up in your release processes that we could benefit from and use. We definitely have lots of places where I think we can interject more automation. So I want to do that. It seems like we do a lot of manual process. So it's been a long time since I've been on a team that did it quite this manually. So it's interesting to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Also kind of fun. See if we can do it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it would be actually nice to share a little bit of knowledge about how we are doing for releasing it on each side, right?
Yeah.
You know, in SUSE, maybe this is something we could prepare for next time. You know that in SUSE, the release process is really related with OBS, which is the tool that we are using, the Open Build service for building. So the OBS itself already implements some workflows that are commonly used in SUSE for managing and handling the release, the staging, everything, right? So yeah, I think it would be worth actually to yeah, let people know how we are doing there, and it might also help you, maybe or maybe not, but at least we are sharing the things. So yeah, that's also something I will take a note, and let's see if we have some time and we can do a quick overview on OBS for the next meeting. Yeah, I'm taking some note for it.
So on the Debian side, when there is a new release, we will just take that, take the packaging part and see if it builds. And part of the build compared to the Debian package provided by Salt is that our package also runs the unit tests during package build time. So to make sure that all the unit tests also work against the package versions from the distribution. And then we also have an auto package test. That's a testing framework from Debian that operates on the binary package that we produced. So in that case, we install the produced Salt package and then also run the unit test against the installed package. And it often happens that once we get an update, I see, okay, some unit tests fail because of this or that reason. Maybe the library is different, or there's a test case that expects some certain libraries there, and we don't have these libraries, and then they fail. So those small environment differences that then appear.
Just a question, Benjamin. How you're running those tests? Directly using the PiTest or Nox at build time, or?
So the current one, we are using this script inside Salt where you have this run test or something.
Yeah, the run test.
And I have prepared a change for the next release or for the master branch to use PiTest directly. Because I tried to use PiTest with a 3002.6 release, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but I tried on the master version and it works there. So I decided, okay, it isn't worth to investigate there.
It might be because it's using a tourist version of PiTest Salt Factories. Because we weren't pinning the higher version. Well, we still aren't pinning the higher version for PiTest Salt Factories. So that might be the cause for it not being able to run with PiTest.
So I tried the version that was specified in the requirements file. And I also tried, I think, this version that worked for the master build. And in all cases, it didn't work. If you're interested, I can share my results.
If you need to run tests for that version, yeah, feel free to ping me. If you're just focusing on the master branch, then just leave it.
So it would be nice because that version is part now of Debian testing, and Debian testing is in freeze and will be released as Debian 11 soon, probably in the coming month. So
I've experienced. Can people hear me? I feel like.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in Gen 2, we also run the tests, and I have found that some of the tests are a little fragile.
Yes.
Environmental differences, and so essentially the e-build, which is the Gen 2 package. Obviously, we don't have pre-built packages because we're a source-based distribution, but it starts off by deleting a whole bunch of tests that just can't work for whatever reason. So there's some tests that seem to require root on the machine running the tests.
Yes.
And some tests seem to require network access. So there is a no internet environment variable, but that is, let's say, not always caught. And so the tests run in Gen 2 in a sandbox environment. So the build system actually sets up a sandbox environment for building and testing, and that sandbox environment has a network namespace that only has LO, so there's no internet access, and there's a fair number of tests that fail because of lack of network access.
So those tests shouldn't actually fail, or if they are failing, it would be awesome if we could get a list of those tests, because we do have. So for the old test suite, there was a decorator which tested for network access, and if it wasn't available, it would skip the tests. And with PiTest, it's a marker, and the same goes for root. There are some tests that require root because we need to create system accounts and delete them afterwards and stuff like that. But there's also, for the old test suite, a decorator, and for the new test suite, a PiTest marker that tests for root access. And if it's not available, it skips the test. So those failures are actually interesting to us, because that might mean that we are missing some skips on some particular tests.
Okay. And yeah, to comment on the PiTest, as of Salt 3003, I have been running via PiTest, so it does work for me. Just to comment about the PiTest.
No, so the thing with PiTest is that we haven't released when we completed switch to PiTest, did we? No, that's going to be the next release, right, Sage?
It's this coming release,
Yeah.
Silicon.
So for the next major release, there will be no run tests.py, like a heads up. We still have like the script in place so that it doesn't feel like a file not found, but it will print an error message. And if you run that through Knox, it will actually tell you how you should run it to run using PiTest. Nonetheless, this change to PiTest required us to rewrite the PiTest plugin that we were originally using. So the first plugin was PiTest Salt, and it was overly engineered by me. And at some point, it was like, no, this is too much, and let's start from scratch. And so that's why PiTest Salt Factories was born. That's way simpler, tries to do as little as possible, just to get you a daemon running and running tests against that daemon. And there's no extra stuff. And well, by these days, there's more extra stuff, but not as much as the old one. But that was being developed as we were migrating. And so you will notice that there's no 1.0 release yet. It's currently on the 0.900, like suggesting like we're close for a 1.0 release. And once we do hit that mark, it will be way more stable. And I'm mentioning this because depending on the version of Salt, you might require a specific version of PiTest Salt Factories, and between the versions of PiTest Salt Factories, backwards compatibility is not guaranteed. And so that's why probably it's not working for an older branch of Salt if you're using a newer version of PiTest Salt Factories. And we didn't pin it to a higher version of the plugin because there was none at the time. But if you are using the static requirements, you should be getting the right one. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing the pain points that you guys have and suggestions, because we can probably simplify our workflow while helping you with your own workflow.
So to address the requirements.txt, I don't know what other distros do, but we don't actually use the requirements.txt. It's more of a documentation. We actually have all of the dependencies of Salt individually packaged, and then it gets pulled in as package dependencies.
Okay.
there are some exceptions that we just basically don't run the tests for if they're a little bit difficult to package. But yeah, we're not generally using pip.
Okay. Then the static requirements, at least for example, for PyTest all factories, you should be getting that version and using that version, if possible, of course, because that at least will guarantee that tests will run.
Okay, I will check again. So I shared a link with a commit where I tried to change to running PyTest directly for the 3002 release.
3002.6. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Also,
I have to agree with Patrick. So we in Debian we do the same. So all the dependencies are packaged individually, and we specify all the needed packages as build dependency or runtime dependencies, and normally only specify, okay, we need that package. And if you know, okay, you require a certain minimum version because of a certain feature, then we specify the minimum version. But we don't pin to a certain version directly. So if the library gets updated, we expect that Salt still works with the newer library. If a specific version breaks each other, then it would be nice to know that, maybe also in the release notes, so that we can let the newer version declare breakage on Salt in that case, for example.
so I just went and looked at the PyTest all factories. Thank you, Benjamin, for your work with fixing issues with the plugin. It has been actually very, very welcomed. Thank you. With regards to the breakage, well, for tests, we think, so you're absolutely right for Salt. Like if there's a newer version that breaks something, we should fix it and address that in release notes as a bare minimum. For tests, we kind of think like we have a little more leeway, mostly because our tests are already so complex and our pipelines are already so complex these days that adding distribution needs, it's not impossible, but it just gets way too complicated. So yeah, I get it. Like, for example, you should be getting a heads up like, okay, this new version of PyTest all factories will break running tests and stuff like that. And so I personally will try to remember that on the next major release of PyTest all factories. But yeah, it's just hard. Let's put it like this. Testing Salt is hard.
On that note,
we're trying to make it simpler and better and
yeah,
all of the above, but it's hard. It's just too much.
It's tough. We've come a long way with PyTest and with PyTest factories, and thanks to Pedro and a lot of his work there, and we have made some leaps and bounds. On that note, we did have this coupled with another work group that we've separated out that is for test in general. It will overlap here, and we probably do want to keep it as a standing agenda item of where tests are, and have some cross collaboration with that working group. That working group is going to meet on the first Thursday of the month at the same time. So it'll be 9 a.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. UTC. And that's over the top of the test clinic that Wayne runs, but once a month, we'll instead have the test working group. I'll make sure that does get out to the mailing list, the invite. I think I have it on the calendar, but I haven't actually sent it to anybody just yet, because I think I did it last night at like 7 o'clock my time. You know, may have been eating dinner and working. I don't do that. I do that all the time. So I probably need to just follow up. But that we want to do a lot of asynchronous work with that.
Now I lost you.
Yep, same here.
We can see
Am
your
I
lips
back?
Yeah.
moving. You're back.
I don't know what happened, but I lost my mic there for a minute. You know, Zoom, it likes to play.
All right.
And it's gone again.
Yeah.
Probably everyone should mute himself or
And
herself,
signals.
to make Zoom happy.
Okay, so we are already on time. So I think it's time to wrap up. In any case, we have, again, the board. Feel free to add stuff there, check out the information that we are pushing there. Yeah, and I hopefully see you all in 1 month on the next meeting for the release working group. Yeah, so thank you very much also for the newcomers for joining to this. I think as much maintainers we will have here, I think it's the better for sharing the knowledge about how we release and also how we do for hardening the salt package that we are shipping, etc. So that's it. All right. So again, thank you very much for attending. Yeah, see you in 1 month. Bye
See
bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.